Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First things first, before I get into the video, I apologize for my voice. I am a little bit sick, but I had to get in here and film this video for you because it is the next video in my back to school series. So this video is going to be focused all on study, and I'm going to be bringing to you my top 7 study tips that are going to help you do better in school. So all of these tips really helped me to achieve the best marks that I could possibly get in school and uni. So I just wanted to come on here, bring them all together and share them with you to hopefully help you do the best that you can do as well. So make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying my back to school series so far, and drop in the comments below what is your top study tip. I'd love for you guys to have a discussion down there and just help each other out to be the best that you can possibly be. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get right into the video. So my first tip is to keep up to date with your classes every single week. I know that that's easier said than done, especially when you're at uni and you don't have homework or checkpoints that you have to complete every single week, but it will really help you stay on top of the content so you're not cramming in information that you've never seen before right before your final exams. One easy way that you can stay on top of your classes is to set aside some time at the end of each week just to go over all of the class content and make some summaries and key points of things that you need to know. That way, when you get to your final exam, you're not going to be studying a whole heap of stuff that you've literally never seen before. At least you're going to be able to recall some information, and it'll just be a lot easier for the content to get into your head. Trust me, even if you can just recognize some terms from earlier on in the semester, it'll make that final study sesh before your final exams a whole lot easier. So my second tip is to work out what kind of learner you are. As you've probably heard before, there are 4 different kinds of learners, which are visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. I think it's super important to work out what kind of learner you are and what learning style suits you best, just so you can really optimize the time that you're using to study to make sure that the techniques that you're using are most effectively getting the information into your brain. So if you are a visual learner, you prefer to see the info in front of you and visualize the relationships between ideas. So what you should be using for your study is graphs, charts, mind maps, things like that, where you can visually see how things relate to each other. Auditory learners prefer to hear the information spoken to them. But if this is you, you can try recording yourself speaking your notes just on your iPhone and then play that back to you just so you can listen to yourself talking through the information that you need to know. Or you can get a study buddy that's in the same class as you and talk through your notes to each other. Reading/writing learners interact the best with text, and that's the kind of learner that I am. I find to get information into my brain, I need to handwrite things out or annotate printed out notes, just because I feel like when I write something down, that is when I can remember it the best. So like I said, I like to annotate my printed out notes, and I also like to use flashcards. So I don't use flashcards like normal flashcards. I don't like write a word and then have the definition on the back. I just use these as like a study guide. So I've just written out all the information in different topics on my flashcards, and I just cycle through them and read over them. And for me, because I like writing things out and reading the written word, I find that if I organize my flashcards into different sections that I've actually written out myself, I can more easily recall the information, and this just helps me to better visualize the information and recall it better in an exam. As you can see, I also find it helpful to color code the different subjects, just because I think it helps my brain to be like, yellow was for this subject, and that helps me to pick out information that I need to know for my exam. Finally, kinesthetic learners learn the best by actually doing things. So if you are a kinesthetic learner, it might be helpful to associate your study with different physical activities or movements, demonstrate your points with role-playing or different actions, or getting hands-on and making models might also be helpful for you. Now, to actually figure out what kind of learner you are, you have to really think about, when did a study method best help me to remember something? Some people just know that they are an auditory learner, but it might take you a little bit of time to figure out which one is the most suited to you. You also might be a combination of a couple of learners, so while I am mostly reading and writing, I need to write something down to remember it. I can also find auditory learning helpful as well, but only when I've spoken it myself and I'm speaking it back to myself or to someone else, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, once you know what kind of learner you are, you can really optimize your studying style to make sure that what you're doing is going to best get that information off the page and into your brain. My third tip is to create an exam or assessment planner. This really helps me to visually see when everything is due and what I need to do to get to that due date. So I especially like to do this during exam block. So exam block is like 2 weeks where I have all of my exams, and I just print out like a calendar page and I put in where every exam is. And in the days leading up to my exams, I plan out what exactly I want to get done on each day to make sure that I know everything that I need to know for the exam. You can also do this for your assessment and write out when you want your first draft done, second draft done, everything like that, and it just helps you to really stay on track to make sure you get everything done in time. To go along with that last tip, it is super important to get a planner. You really don't want to find out the day before you have a massive assignment due that it's due tomorrow and you haven't even started yet because you didn't know that it was due. I have like a little bullet journal. If you want to see a video on my bullet journal, make sure to leave a comment down below because I'd be happy to do one. But yeah, I have a bullet journal, but I also just use the calendar on my phone. You really don't need a physical planner. You just need somewhere to put in where everything is due that you're going to be checking regularly to make sure that you're not going to miss out on something and not be able to put in the most effort that you can to get that assignment done. I cannot stress enough how important it is to put in the due dates for things so things don't sneak up on you. Speaking of assessment, my fifth tip is to try your hardest to get assignments done as early as possible. Again, I know that this is easier said than done, but trust me, it will save you so much stress if you just start working on your assignments as soon as you get them. Not only will this make you less stressed around the due date, but it means that you have the time to put in the most effort that you can to get the best grades possible. It also gives you more time at the end to check over little things like spelling and grammar, just to make sure that those things aren't going to be dragging your marks down. So tip number 6 is to use the rubric to your advantage. Whenever you get an assignment, you're also going to get a marking rubric which shows you exactly what your teacher or tutor is going to be marking that assessment piece on. If you want to be getting the top marks, go straight to that top marks column and see exactly what you need to do to be able to get those marks. You're basically trying to force your teacher or tutor to tick the boxes in that column. I base what I do in all of my assignments on what it says in that column because that is what they are marking you on. There's no point putting all this effort into a random area that isn't even being marked because they can't give you the marks in that area. If it's not in that top column, you're not going to get the top marks. So if you just look straight into that column, it just makes it so much easier to know what you need to do to get those top marks, and you can focus all your effort on making sure that your work best reflects that column. And my last tip is helpful for you if you are a serial procrastinator, and that is to get a self-control app. So there are apps that you can download on your computer and your phone that allows you to block out certain websites. I personally like to use the one on my computer because I usually just turn my phone off if I really need to study. And the one that I use on my computer is Self-Control. And how Self-Control works is that you just type in the URLs of the websites that you don't want to go onto. So I would type in things like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. And you just type in those URLs, set the timer for how long you want those websites to be blocked, and then just click start, and you physically will not be able to get onto those websites in this time that you've specified. This basically just forces you to focus on your study because you don't have the distraction of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anything like that. You physically cannot get onto those websites, so all you can do is study. I know that blocking websites might seem a little bit extreme, but trust me, it is so helpful if you are a procrastinator because it just blocks you from doing any procrastinating basically. So those are all of my study tips. I hope this video was helpful for you and gave you some ideas for how you can up your study game this year. I really want you guys to do the best that you possibly can do in school because it's always an amazing feeling when you achieve what you want to achieve. So I know these tips helped me, so I hope they will help you as well. Thank you so much as always for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys!